I fell into the local Burning Man community. So we're known as burners. There's such a high premium placed on the importance of volunteering, along with then carrying to civic duties outside of, if you really take these events seriously beyond, the rave in the woods type of mentality that some people have about it. My passion for community involvement kind of started last year during the George Floyd protests. I had gone down with a bunch of my burner friends and we were street medics. Unfortunately, at that event, I was one of the people who were shot by APD with the less lethal round. So that's kind of turned my life upside down. It's been a lot to process and kind of work through. And I've found that like my go-to place to be happy of late was to really help out as much as I could local community, like direct local, my Buy Nothing group and my neighborhood groups, and helping out elderly folks and whatever I could do there. And so I'd kind of gotten established through those groups locally as kind of a go-to guy when things get a little rough or we need help or a hand or a handyman or whatever it might be. Started seeing these rollouts of the vaccines. And when they first came out, I was super ignorant to the whole situation. And it was about a month ago when I realized that my COVID-20 on my belly qualified me in the state of Texas because I am now obese. And I was like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool. I guess I might as well go ahead and take advantage of it because I'm also a pretty social person. I'm always helping out these elderly folks in my neighborhood. I might as well protect myself so that I can help protect them. I started looking into it and I was like, okay, I had heard about one thing and it was kind of a link that escaped into the wild that was only supposed to be used as a private link. And so I got all excited. I got my appointment and then that was on Friday, and on Monday I found out it got canceled because I didn't do it the legit way. And I was like, all right, well, we'll work with this. And so then I filled out the awesome public health and went on Monday night, and lo and behold, I got an appointment that night. That's pretty damn cool. And then the next day I went on and got hot wife an appointment, and that was pretty cool. And meanwhile, I have a really good friend who is BIPOC, and she is obviously at higher risk. For folks that aren't aware, people of color right now are the ones that are getting infected at higher rates, and they're dying at higher rates. And I was like, this is kind of bullshit. Like, I'm a white old dude. I should be at the bottom of this list. Granted, I'm fat, so I'm going to take advantage of that right now. It's still not cool that it's taking that my appointment takes away from someone who really deserves it more than I do. She was the first person that I fought to get an appointment for, and it took about 3 or 4 days before we finally had an appointment for her. During that time, her husband had found an appointment, or she had found an appointment for her husband, but he was kind of on the search list too. I was pretty excited when I was able to find this appointment for her. But those few days caused me to take time and understand what's going on with all this. Like, how and why is this all as crazy it is, and how do we make it work? I went from having no clue to programming buttons on your keyboard to do macro shortcuts. For people unfamiliar, you're searching refresh. So that's one button on my computer that I push over and over and over. And then something comes up and I have another button that, as long as I'm hovered over it, it will click on and open into a new tab, this available appointment. And then when you get to the available appointment on HEB, you go down and select this, that, and the other thing. And so I managed to figure out the button sequence to program to one button to push to get this quick down to the bottom and try and grab the appointment. And I'll tell you, even doing that, I still 40% of the time I'm lucky if I can grab an appointment. I think we're coming up on 250-ish appointments that we've booked as a group. I happen to be a stay-at-home dad who can't find meaningful employment, so I felt like this would actually bring some kind of good into the world. When somebody comes and signs into us, one of the first questions we ask is, how do you want us to prioritize you? And the very first option is high priority for BIPOC, and the second is high priority for elderly or working with children, in school environment or daycares. And then it goes to medium, and then it goes no rush. And anybody who's listening that did no rush, I love you. Thank you for being honest that way. The couple of people that have tried to say they're BIPOC, I have your email addresses and I can look you up on Facebook, and you weren't, and so you got booted off the list. I do it because I love just helping people. That is really more the case. I'm a joy junk. I'm all about, let's just do this for free. Give us the data you're comfortable with. There's a gal that was down in San Antonio. And that's a little bit out of the market that I'm super familiar with. So it caused me to have to do some quick research and understand that a bit. And this young lady just the way that she talked, the way she kept me engaged, she just had me cracking up. And, it ended up, to make it work, we had to get her daughter involved. And so her daughter then ended up calling me, and yeah, my mom, she's a handful. She's a handful. And, that elderly handful person it just lights me up. And I hope one day that I can be the cause of slowing somebody down for a minute, because the go has its advantages, right? So I get a lot of appointments booked. I personally have a phrasing that I like to use, that gratitude is a direct reflection of one's self-worth. If somebody says thank you, that means that they've accepted it as theirs, right? And so, hearing those thank yous is a way of me accepting that I have a higher worth in the world, that I personally have value, and hearing that increases my personal value to carry forward in lots of other ways. That's really what stands out to me is these elderly folks that cause me to slow down, but it's because they also cause me to kind of dwell in gratitude for a moment. And that's really a super powerful place to be dwelling in. I started out because the original people doing it were specifically targeting the very rich areas of Austin. That was their deal. They were up in the West Hills, and that's what they were doing. And it pissed me off, quite honestly. Now there's probably 8, maybe even more groups that are doing very comparable work to us as far as find you an appointment, but none of them have the prerequisite or the qualifying of, we are going to start with BIPOC, then go to elderly and teachers and whatnot. How do we get out there to these BIPOC, these elderly folks, and get their data into a system so someone can help them? Because they don't know where to go. These aren't people that always have internet access. They aren't always able to know or navigate this amazingly crazy system that we found ourselves in, not only hunting for vaccines, but hunting for folks who need the vaccines and need that additional hands-on support. So if you feel that you can help in that in any way, please reach out. And a big one that I'm going to absolutely have to have help with, especially in our Austin region, is bilingual folks. I don't speak Spanish very well at all. And so that's going to be the number one regional, is going to be Hispanics that really could use the most help. And that is not to leave behind any of our other people of color. That's still very important to me. I think what we find with Hispanic folks is that they just marginalize in such a different way. There's the language barriers, there's the fear of all kinds of craziness that comes along with it. And so there's a bigger chunk of folks that could really use a hand there. There's also legitimate fear of deportation and all other forms of racism associated with that make it so me, as the white guy showing up at the door, I'm not the person that can get that penetration, but I will inspire the person to go knock on that damn door. I'm happy to do that. And somebody listening to this, you're that person. I got you. Let's make this happen for your people too. Austin Public Health, the key there is you gotta log on once you've set up the account. They do lotteries on Mondays and Thursdays. They've been shifting the times and the days as they're trying to figure out the best formula. Really important to be following them on social media if you're taking that avenue seriously. The next thing to be aware of is UT Health. They specialize in helping teachers. So anybody who's in the academia world, that's the place to get started up. They start sending their information from Austin COVID Clinic and or Aetna Health. A lot of people think when they get those are phishing emails. They're not. It's really important that you look into those, especially the Aetna. When you get that Aetna Health one, that's your golden ticket to go sign up with UT. That means that you're in their system and approved. And then the couple other ones, and this goes for anywhere in the state, all your surrounding cities and counties, get logged in with them, figure out what it takes to get signed up. Almost all of those situations are going to come to be one of two things. After you sign up and do that initial intake form, you're going to find that they reach back out to you to either tell you, here's your golden ticket, print this out, show up on Monday anytime, there's no direct appointment, you've got the golden ticket. Or they'll send you a code to be able to go to a website. It's a one-time use code. You're going to be able to book your own appointment through that way. So all the small little podunk towns, counties, all that kind of stuff, they are very likely to be your first chance. And then the next big thing is if anybody's hunting for you, miles make a difference. The further you're willing to travel from a metropolitan metropolitan area, the sooner that somebody's going to find you an appointment. We have an option on our drop down. It's a half an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. And then I'll go to the moon, just get me a ouchie. People who will go to the moon, I'll have an appointment in 10 minutes. Odessa all day, every day. Anybody who's doing this is, had it with Odessa. So if you're willing to drive, there's no problem getting an appointment for you. And that's, I would say, probably the most important thing any one person can do is get your hands in as many pots as possible. I'm not attached to me being the person that books the appointment for you. I'm attached to you finding an appointment.